everybody, welcome to this special episode of Wayward Soul Searchers, getting to know the searchers. Wendie, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you with us. Let me just real quick say that Wendie is our investigator from another state. She takes care of things. She's done so much for Wayward Soul Searchers. She's had bumper stickers made for us. She's our communications department, all rolled into one person, and she's gotten us a podcast before. She's given us a lot of research on different locations to look into, and I really appreciate everything you do, Wendie.
Thank you.
I have just a couple questions for you. What first got you interested in the paranormal?
I don't really know where or when I got so into paranormal. I've always been into history. And I love historical buildings, architecture, and along with that, I do like old cemeteries. So I always thought those were nice. They were pretty, very interesting, especially the older ones. As far as the paranormal, I had a relative pass away in like my early 20s, and somebody was really close to me. And shortly after that, I went to like a psychic, intuitive, spiritual medium type person who, I was very skeptical of. I think that some of them are just people who really know how to read people, and they tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But she knew things, and she sort of kind of leaned me over into believing. And one of the things she said was, about this relative that I'd lost. And she said, do you turn your head really quick and you think that you see them there, even after all this time? And I'm like, yeah, actually, like I never told anybody that before. And she's like, you do have, people who have, gone before you. They're your spirit guides. She's like, that's how I do what I do. I talk to spirit guides. And that kind of got me interested in it. And that's when, I started doing research, and I love to do research, of course. So I just got more and more into it. And then, of course, with the shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, things like that, I got into that too. And it just blew up from there. I'm all into it. I love the research. I love all aspects of it.
So she was talking like you probably had a guardian angel that was watching you over you. And I think almost everybody has some kind of guardian angel watching over them. I would like to think so. That's a good thought anyway.
Absolutely.
So what is the tattoo on your arm? On the inside
that one?
On the other arm?
That is I don't know which way the camera is.
Yeah.
This is a violet. It's so funny that you pick out that flower. I got that for my grandmother. She was born in February. February flower is violet. Her favorite color was purple. And that is the person that I lost that I used to think that I would see all the time. And that's who the intuitive told me was always around me.
Really? Oh, so I'm getting some of that power that Brandy and them have.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep. Because I have a lot of tattoos, and even ones, all over. But it's funny that you mentioned that one specifically.
So let me ask you, if you had any location that you could go to investigate, where would it be? Anywhere?
I don't know that I could pick just one. I've done a lot of, again, history, and, I love to read. I love to research things even before Wayward or anything like that. That's just something that I find fascinating, especially if it has deep history. As far as the paranormal investigation, I think that there would actually be two places. I know you said one, but I'm going to say two. I think that Lafayette Cemetery in New Orleans would be an amazingly scary place to investigate, but it would be an experience unlike any other. And I also would like to go to the Winchester Mystery House in California.
Ooh, yeah.
That place is just fascinating all on its own. And then you add in, the paranormal and the history with it. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in that cemetery in the pitch dark at night trying to look for ghosts. I don't know. I'd have to have a few people with me surrounding me at that time. That would be a little bit scary.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
what do you think the best piece of equipment for paranormal investigations is now? What do you think of, like a camera or a digital voice recorder or the EMF meters or anything out there? What do you think is the best piece?
I mean, I like the EVPs from the recorders because I think that sometimes it's just, you know, sometimes it's undeniable that there's something there, whether you can make it out or not. There's something that you can't explain in those things. One of my favorites, and I don't know why or how accurate it is or too much about it really, but the SLS camera, I've
Hmm.
seen, of course, on the shows and stuff like that, just some really cool things come from that. So I think that would be a fun piece of equipment to work with.
Yeah, I just got one not too long ago, and that's going to be our first use of the SLS camera is going to be at St. Albans. So
That's going to be fun.
yeah. And I will say that I really like just a digital voice recorder, like you were saying. And we have the SB7, we have the Obulus and stuff like that. But there's something about SB7, the voices come through all of the channels, and you don't know if it's just picking up radio stations. The Obulus, it could just be picking up energy from something else and saying a word. And you have to be careful with those because it'll say a word like Charles. Let's just say it says Charles. You say, "Oh, was your name Charles?" And then it'll say 30. You say, "Oh, Charles, were you 30?" And next thing you know, you're like doing this whole story with something. And then,
Right.
who knows? But when you are holding that digital voice recorder and you're in a room by yourself and there's no noise, it's just quiet, and you ask a question and you say, "Can you tell me how old you are?" And you don't hear anything because usually you don't hear it with your naked ear. So, you ask them, "How old are you?" And then you listen back and it says a number, 17. And then you ask another question like, "Can you tell me what town I'm in?" And it comes back and you don't hear it, but on the recorder it says the name of the town. And that's
Exactly.
yeah. And when we first started doing our investigations, we would do EVP sessions and we didn't listen to them until like a day or two later. We just didn't have time. We did so many different rooms and this and that, where now we do the little quick response ones where we'll do like 5 or 6 questions. It'll take about 5 minutes. Then we just like hand them off to somebody and they listen to them right away. So that way, because it's nothing worse than doing an EVP session, getting home and listening to them and thinking, "Oh, I should have spent more time in that room. We were only in there for a
Mhm.
half an hour. I should have stayed in longer. I was getting responses." Where now, if we get responses, we can run back to that room, just doing the quick
Mhm.
response. So I
Exactly.
like those too. I like those too. So a couple of months ago, you introduced us to the Gorilla Lounge, who he actually had Steve and I on there, and we just had a conversation about Wayward Soul Searchers and some other stuff that I'm involved in. And can you tell us a little bit about the Gorilla Lounge?
Yeah, Grill Lounge is a podcast that we do on YouTube live every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And we don't really have one topic or theme that we go with. We just wanted to start a podcast where we educate people, inspire people, have engaging conversations. And we've had a lot of fun with it. We really enjoyed having you guys on. We actually talked about having you on more. We're excited about that. And we have some really big things planned, and we're really, really excited about that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I can tell you that I've watched almost every show. I try to catch them live. I have watched every show, but I've watched almost every one of them live on the Thursday nights, and I love them. I love not just Justin in the show and what's going on, but I love the comments on the side. You guys have some great followers that are on there, and there's comedy with it. There's seriousness, And I love that there are different topics all the time. It really is great. And definitely check out the Gorilla Lounge Thursday nights, 9 o'clock. I'll put a link up to them and just go check some of the old videos out, watch them on live. It's awesome. I love them, Wendie. You guys are really doing a
Yeah.
great job with that show. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So I guess if I had to ask you if you were a skeptic or a believer in paranormal, what would you say?
Um, I think I'm a skeptical believer. I want to believe. I do. And there's so much. We're all energy, and when you die, energy has to go somewhere. So it, to me, makes sense, and it's interesting, and it's fun to think about. But then with so many of the shows out nowadays and so many social medias, oh, I caught this and I did this, and everybody wants to go viral. I also am very skeptical. Things can be manipulated, they can be edited, they can be fabricated and just plain made up, nothing. So I do believe, but I don't know that I believe everybody and everything.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I, about 4 years ago, I guess it was contacted by a production company that wanted us to do, or at least to audition for a show. And they said, send us your best stuff, your best evidence you have out there. And that bothered me, just the way that they asked the question. It was written a little bit better than that. I'm just going off of what I remember, but that was the gist of it. Send us your best stuff that you got. Well, I don't want to just send them the best stuff, because it's not always great stuff. There's a lot of sitting there in the dark, and it's a lot of, no evidence. A lot of places we go and we don't get any evidence at all. And some places you do. And those are the good places, but you can't just have, I don't know. I think that if you're not finding stuff, if for whatever reason, I think people will tend to make things up to make it more interesting. And we would never do that. And that's why a lot of you go back and watch our live recordings that we did, there's a lot of just sitting there and asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell when it amps up and things are happening, but there's a lot of sitting there just in the dark asking questions. But I don't know. I just wouldn't want to make anything up to make us look better. Wouldn't want to do it. But that is it's a great way to, you said it a lot better than I said it. But anyway, if you had to say something to our viewers about if they have had experiences, would you tell them to talk to somebody about it? Or would you tell them to just, too many people fear talking to someone about it because people think they're crazy?
I mean, I think that sometimes you need to talk. I think that you should choose the right person or people to talk to, people who maybe wouldn't judge you or do have more of an open mind or are believers themselves, so, but definitely talk to somebody about it, because sometimes those kinds of things, you may think you're crazy in, your own mind, and maybe talking to somebody would help you realize, some things, and that maybe you're not the only one, and that maybe it's not, that odd that maybe other people have had these experiences too. I think more people have, and I think a lot of people are probably scared to talk about it. So
yeah, I agree. Well, Wendie, thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day and talking with me. And thank you for everything that you do for Wayward Soul Searchers and myself. I appreciate it.
thank you.
And I look
Thank you.
forward
I
to seeing
appreciate
you
it. It's
soon.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.